Hey everyone, I just wanted to go ahead and take a look at chapter 12 and how advertisements have shaped the world around us. I think it's important to recognize first and foremost that advertisements influence the media, but also specifically the culture that surrounds it, therefore doing things like the two lines of analysis we're going to look at today: perpetuating stereotypes, and maintaining a capitalist culture that we reinforce by continuing to buy these products. First and foremost, we can look at how advertisements perpetuate stereotypes. Two of the images in the chapter do an excellent job of explaining this. The first image we need to look at is figure 12.2. This is the Aunt Jemima ad that is promoting not only the Aunt Jemima pancake flour, but also the perception of the company as well. The top of the image reads "Eyes in Town Honey," featuring a woman of color cooking these pancakes above a set of ragdoll children that are all continued persons of color. What this perpetuates is the idea that not only is this the kind of pancake flour we should be buying because it is down home and tastes like home, but it also perpetuates the problematic standards that there are only certain individuals that can cook. Not only do we recognize that this advertisement encapsulates a woman, but it also specifically encapsulates a woman of color, showing that there are only certain groups of individuals that can do home style cooking and do them appropriately. The second line of problem with this specific advertisement is that at the bottom of the advertisement, it outlines that if you buy enough of this flour, you can actually own a free ragdoll family. Now, the ragdoll family that's in the image is four persons that are all persons of color: a mother, a father, and two children. What this specifically establishes is, once again, that if you buy enough of something, you are in a position then to become ownership of a specific item. Now, initially, we now think that things like this that are free are not problematic, but when we are allowing for things to be free, to be directly related to a person of color and their sales, that becomes incredibly problematic. But even further than that, we can see a further perpetuation of stereotypes through figure 12.4. This is the advertisement for pasteurizing flour. Now, this image depicts a woman in the kitchen with several unruly bags of flour, as well as her entire kitchen being a mess. What this does is this is trying to sell flour to women so that they recognize that their kitchen does not have to be an unruly mess, because Payne's flour gives them an opportunity to have less work that they have to do. This perpetuates two problematic stereotypes. First and foremost, it perpetuates the idea that it is a woman's role to maintain and be in the kitchen and cook, but it also sets up the problematic standard that it's her role to clean up and avoid the messes made inside a kitchen. What this shows us is that advertisements as a whole perpetuate problematic stereotypes, either about persons of color or a singular gender, because advertisements are targeted to their specific field group. And if we're advertising and targeting a specific field group, what you actually do is you continue to perpetuate the stereotypes of this field group. But even further than that, we can see that advertisements perpetuate capitalism. An incredible example is in World War I, when not only advertisements were used to continue to distribute war propaganda, but they were also used to sell goods that were appropriate for patriotism. You often saw labels on cans and labels on boxes as food for patriots, or that this kind of food is good for the war because it either has less of something or it gives money back to the war. What this did is actually made people feel like they were obligated to purchase this so that they could either help the war efforts or not. And then those that chose not to purchase these goods because they were labeled as patriot goods then chose to suffer, because the items that weren't labeled and advertised as such tended to be substantially more significant in price. But even further than this, we can see the perpetuation of capitalism once we saw the creative revolution come through. Now, while this did grant people more creative avenues to advertise, it also put people in a position where it became a competition. A really good example of the creative revolution are the issues that we saw when Coke and Pepsi became and begun to advertise against each other. It was no longer an advertisement for Coke or an advertisement for Pepsi, but it became advertisements of Coke over Pepsi or Pepsi over Coke. What this shows is that advertisement became the only way that people felt like they could actually turn a profit and actually find an opportunity to do something that net them good and net them finances. So overall, when we take a step back, we can see that not only does it problematically perpetuate capitalism by using labels that make people feel obligated to purchase certain goods, but it also causes ad wars and makes things more competitive instead of just for allowing for products to be advertised by themselves and be bought on their own merit. But it also perpetuates stereotypes by targeting specific groups of individuals and targeting them with problematic stereotypes. So at the end of the day, what we have to recognize is that yes, advertisements influence the media and culture around us, but all that really does at the end of the day is perpetuate problems like stereotypes and capitalist tendencies.